yesterday?
Yes.
How'd it go?
Like most scrimmages, kind of the defense got off to a faster start, which was the opposite of last week. Had a couple plays. It wasn't really, unfortunately, it wasn't really a byproduct of the defense necessarily being great. Just some lack of execution. I think offensively had a couple of alignment things that were just unforced. And then there was decent back and forth. Had a bunch of situational things. Got some overtime. We played 2 overtime sessions. One was very quick. The other one turned into double overtime. Started and finished with overtime, so I had to get that going. Had some end of game, end of half situations, which awareness-wise was good to get. Offense had some good back and forth. I think we had one turnover offensively, which was the very last play of before we went into overtime. So pretty good offensively in that way, and not necessarily what you want defensively from a turnover standpoint.
Offense better than the last scrimmage?
Well, I think when you're talking better, I think that individually there's guys that play better. Individually, there's guys that weren't as good, and so that'll be the case in every phase. We did some live kickoff return stuff. Troy Dye showed up there big time. It was good to see a young guy do some things that way, and then we'll take a look at the film and sort all the other stuff out.
How are the quarterbacks looking?
Inconsistent. I think again you've got the third string wideout, and we had a couple of times in the first couple drives where we had a couple missed throws and we had a bunch of drops that started it, which is not obviously good. But did some decent things in the run game. Did a few things better. Just didn't come out with any kind of urgency or leadership that is not uncommon of a competition type of situation. But that's also where you'd like to see somebody kind of step up, and I anticipate that happening.
Some things in the run game in terms of the quarterbacks running?
Yeah, just recognizing some things that they hadn't in the past, whether it was thrown perimeter game or recognition of what exactly they need to see.
Do you expect to name a starting quarterback by the spring game?
No, we will not.
Last week, Lubick said that Dakota was, kind of getting the jitters out and really kind of settling in. He was seeing a calmer Dakota out there. Are you seeing a similar thing out of him?
Well, again, it's just I think that's where the consistency part of it hasn't come in for anybody, and again, that's not abnormal for spring ball, and you're getting 3 new guys in there with reps. He and Travis, I think, are playing what's the right way to put it? The most consistently inconsistent. They're doing some things a little bit more consistently than the others. Terry had a big run today. I don't know how far that was. How far was that? 50-yard run. So they're all showing signs. It's just you have to put it together. Part of that is who they're doing it with, and that's all taken into account.
You guys have talked about defensively, the intensity's ramped up. Have you seen that spill over to the offense with them just trying to match that?
The competition has been very good, as far as O versus D and intensity versus intensity. I think each side has had their days. Each side has had, which is probably better. Each side has had their periods, of whether it's period 10 through 14 in practice, and then somebody else bounces back because that's reality, right? That's the second quarter versus the fourth quarter, or the drive that you need to bounce back. And so they've both been resilient that way.
You guys have scrimmaged today, but how much is spring ball skill development opposed to like working on this specific play? Or
well, definitely both. I mean, we have that scenario where we have a lot of new guys that are getting a ton of reps, and you want to push the envelope from a schematic standpoint, but you also want to get it to a place where they can stop thinking and just play, and that's that fine line that you walk. But they've played hard and worked hard without exception. And that's always a weird, scrimmaging on a Monday is always a little difficult, but that's also a little bit why we do it, is to make them bounce back and have a good weekend.
What you looking to see kind of these last 2 weeks?
Some leadership to arise, I think, on both sides is something that we would like to see. I think there's guys that will sidle up to guys and be saying the right things and talk the right things. But now, just to really take the bull by the horns, certainly from the quarterback perspective of running the show in practice and each one of those guys, really all those guys, have shown glimmers of that, and that just comes back to their own comfort level and their own confidence in what they're doing, and then just playing cleaner. There's not as much install. There's very little install from here on out, and so in every phase, getting lined up faster, recognizing things faster, and just really taking the ticks off the clock of talking to yourself and trying to overthink. All right, this is where I line up. This is what this call means, and now it's just boom, boom, quick recognition.
Is it a challenge to get leadership from the quarterback when, like you say, you've got three guys that are new and seeming like the top of the depth chart is kind of the newer guys, and the guys who've been here are not getting as many reps? Does that create kind of a challenge in the spring at least?
It does, and that's where the coaches have to step up and fill that void. Royce Freeman, Charles Nelson, some of these guys have done a great job of doing that. And unfortunately for both those guys, they're not necessarily really naturally vocal leaders, but they've stepped up and done a nice job.
It's safe to say that Dakota, Travis, and Terry are kind of getting the most of the reps right now at quarterback?
Yes, it is safe to say that.
And with that, can we carry that over to say that they'd be at the top of a depth chart if you did one right now?
I think you could draw that conclusion, but yeah, we won't decide the quarterback position until I don't know when. I mean, that'll play out in fall camp, and I think guys have you can see that just kind of happening, that position of those guys settling into a little bit more of a higher comfort level, and that'll happen.
On a different position, Elijah George moved over. How's he doing? And was that he kind of indicated? Was that kind of he came to you and said, "Hey, if I can get on the field and I've done this before"?
Yeah,
how'd that happen?
He came to me and just kind of wanted to have a new start, a new life, and that happens a lot when guys change positions. Is when it comes from them, it's better. Just because they think it's the right thing, and they think it's that's where they'll be the most comfortable and the most successful. And he's done a nice job. He's done some very positive things. There's a lot of guys doing some good things on the D-line right now, which is a good thing, obviously. And so we'll see where that shakes out depth-wise come fall.
Is that pretty normal, guys coming to you asking for position changes?
Yeah, there's a couple guys every whether it's immediately after the fall or immediately after spring ball, somebody will always come in and say, hey, what about A, B, or C? And it's that's where you just sit down and look at it from all angles and do what's best for the team.
What's the biggest challenge from switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3?
The biggest challenge? Well, I think probably for the interior guys, the gap charge, accountable for a single gap type of mentality is a lot different than a two gapping mentality. And then for the edge guys, how they fit formation, strength, field boundary, whatever those things it may be is slightly different. And so I think the linebackers there's less thinking, just because the gaps are not, I don't want to say prearranged, but they're more defined than a two-gapping defense, and so hopefully again that translates into guys just playing one step faster.
What is Jeff Lockie's role this spring? It sounds like it's kind of like you guys are kind of demoing Carey and Dakota and Travis. So you got a guy who's been around for 4 or 5 years. What can he do this spring? Yeah,
he's been awesome. He and Taylor have both been awesome of kind of playing half mentor and half wideout, and they're still doing a bunch of drill work and things at quarterback, but it's impossible to drill 4 quarterbacks. It's obviously impossible to drill 5 quarterbacks, and so that was a tough discussion that we had, and a tough and an easy decision to make in terms of just trying to flush things and move forward with those 3 guys, getting the lion's share of reps this spring, and then after the spring, obviously we'll rework things. But they've been phenomenal. He's had a great attitude, and so has Taylor. Been outstanding.